They're both bald, but Andy thinks he's not. Andy may deny it, but you know it's just lies, because they're two bald guys.
Before we start, I did two beautiful pictures of both of us for our thumbnail.
You did, yeah.
One with hair, one with your actual hair.
No.
With your actual hair. And you chose the one with the full head of hair.
I was always going to choose the one with the full head of hair. The other one you sent me looked like Homer Simpson's hair.
But that's more of a likeness, isn't it? Come on.
It's a bit better than that. Come on.
Have you seen your hair? Seriously.
Oh, rude. Oh, £2 well spent. Anyway, moving on, what I will say is it's really good to meet up with you because I am surrounded by females at my house. I know you're the same. I've got my wife and my 9-year-old daughter. The other week, it was my 9-year-old daughter there with a few of her little friends, all girls. My older daughter was staying with me as well. There were loads of mums there as well, and me. And I was like, I need some male company. This is too much. Too much. I know you're the same.
Did you drink to get through that whole experience?
Absolutely. And I went off and hid, actually, at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Andy, can you help me? No.
No. Like she would ever ask for help. She wouldn't even notice I was gone, let's be honest. Yeah.
In all fairness, Isla was getting to that age where she knows best, and she's 6.5. She knows best, honestly.
Yeah.
Some of the things do catch me out because I'm like, oh, she's actually right, so I can't tell her off. But I am mad. But
She started correcting.
Oh no, all the time. Actually, it's this, and I'm like, really, you are right. You are right. But you're 6.5, and you shouldn't be. Go to your bed.
The adult brain is not something that should be studied because we stopped learning years ago, didn't we? In all honesty, we stopped learning so many years ago. Yeah. Kids' brains absorb information. They learn all the time. That's their only job as a kid, is to learn stuff, isn't it? Yeah. And our job is just forgetting. Just
absolutely.
Onward forgetting of stuff to the point where your child does know more than you.
I know, but not at 6.5. I think I was a bit of a retard at 6.5, to be quite honest, in comparison. I mean, we're going back to different times. Yeah. I'm sounding like I'm really old, but when I was Isla's age, it was 1985. So there was not PCs, there was not phones, there wasn't the access they have these days.
Go to the library to get information.
She was speaking Spanish last night because she was watching a Spanish video on YouTube, and it got the subtitles, so she was reading the English, so she knew what they were saying. And I'm like, that is fantastic.
That's the way to learn, though, isn't it? When we were learning, it was boring. But honestly, I've tried to learn Spanish so many times. I'm good enough to get around. So when I went to Barcelona, it was useful because there's so many people in Barcelona. I know they kind of speak Catalan as well, but I would not have got around without speaking Spanish because they don't speak English. Like in a lot of European countries, they all speak English. So we got lost, and the only way I was able to sort of direct us back to where I wanted to be,
right,
through taxi drivers and stuff, was knowing a bit of Spanish. So I know a bit, but I've got a Spanish CD that I listen to in the car. I've got Rosetta Stone. I've even found like a free audio thing on Spotify that teaches you Spanish. I always give up. I've done it so many times and I just give up because my brain can't take anymore.
I think for me personally, the only thing you need to know how to do is order a beer in Spanish. That's it, mate. Yeah. You go abroad, you clearly see the English guys going up, 1 beer, please. I'll at least try and make the effort in that, and, say thank you and stuff like that. But that's as far as my dialect goes when it comes to Spanish. I just don't understand it. Yeah. I'm really, really rubbish at languages. And I mean, I've just come back from Egypt and there's just no way. I learnt the word for thank you, but that is it.
That's something.
It's something, yeah. But yeah, languages just unknown to me. As you know, the access that kids have these days, like your daughter, she'll be on YouTube and she'll be learning constantly from those programs. Like, oh, you can't compress water. I was like, what? Oh yeah, do you know why when cars go through floods and you shouldn't turn them on? I was like, what? She was like, yeah, because water can't be compressed. I was like, you're 6.5. What? Yeah. I was like, this kid's going to be, a genius when she's older, I tell you.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. But going back, you're surrounded by women as well, aren't you? Having a bit of blokey time is important, actually.
It is.
So I used to, as you know, I used to be a welder building cars, and I worked in a weld factory, and it was almost exclusively guys, right? So you can imagine what that environment looked like. So all of the vile manliness, burping, swearing, all of that, I got all of that out of the way in the day. So you come home, it's all done. It's purged from your system. Now, I've got an office job. I can't swear and burp at work and stuff. So was it last week? I was on the sofa with Amy, my wife, obviously, and I did the biggest burp. It was like it had been wrenched up from my bowels. It was such an enormous burp. And within 1 second, she called me a dirty, vile pig bastard. And I couldn't really argue with that, because she is right, in fairness.
But I think a burp can sound vile, as farts are funny. They are funny. In the right situation, you're on your sofa, you do a 5-10 second fart, it's hilarious. In my head, I'm still a 3-year-old and find any fart hilarious. I'm on TikTok. I think it's funny. Yeah. But I couldn't do it in the office. No. I couldn't do it in the office because I'd probably get sacked. Yeah. There's a certain etiquette that you have to uphold in an office.
An office workplace is different, isn't it? Even if everyone feels the same and doesn't care, somehow it's a problem in an office. Mm-hmm. It was like, for example, I went out with my work team once and we went to see some comedy and live comedy, and the C-bombs being thrown, fuck this, fuck that, all that stuff. Everyone's laughing. Yeah. If you said any of that in the office, suddenly everyone's bothered. Yeah. But outside of the office, they're not bothered. So there's something about the workplace that people think you have to behave in a certain way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was observing, and I looked around, and there was probably a couple of people in our office that have tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in this day and age, tattoos are everywhere. They're more accessible, but still in an office, it's still frowned upon if you have face tattoos, neck tattoos, or hand tattoos, because you can't cover those up. You can put a shirt on and cover your tattoos up. So people wouldn't go, oh, he's got a full sleeve or, whatever. Yeah. And there's still a stigma against tattoos.
So in my current job, because I've got black tattoos that go all the way over here and down part of my arm, I was wearing a white shirt at work, which you could see them through there. Yeah. And someone I work with, she actually said to me that this woman said to her, have you seen he's got tattoos? And she went, yeah. And the woman said, you must have a darker side that we don't know about. And she went, you got that from having a tattoo, But there is still that link amongst, I think it's probably a generational thing.
No, absolutely.
Older generation would still see that as...
My parents would just, a tattoo to them would be, I'm not speaking to you for a while. Really? There is that definitely level of, my dad especially. I really? Do not, my brother got a tattoo and they weren't best pleased.
See, I think my mum's a bit more liberal, because when I got my first tattoo, I think I was 17 or something, And my mum just went, "Oh, let's see it then. Oh, that's nice." And she was quite just more interested about it. Because at the same time, I think I shaved my head. And also I had a piercing here. I had a piercing here as well. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a new look. That's quite interesting." She wasn't bothered at all.
Oh, no. My mum's probably as bad as my dad, in all fairness. If
I
I went back, I want to get those temporary tattoos just to see their reaction. Oh, mate, honestly. Or like both full sleeves.
You look good with full sleeves, actually.
You know,
you really should. But you should, if it's a temporary one as a joke, you should get one on your face.
Like Mike Tyson one. Yeah.
Do you know, because I used to have the piercing in the eyebrow, I had that for like 9 years or something. I got refused a job for it once. Unbelievably. I don't think you'd be allowed to do that now. But it was in a fashion shop.
But how would you find out this day and age if they didn't give you the job because of your face tattoo or no? But I mean, in this day and age, you're saying I don't think they could get away with that. But how would you know?
Oh, they'd find another reason.
Well, this
is but back then, it was in a fashion shop, which immediately you'd think they'd want diversity and all that sort of stuff. But it was in the stock room at the back. And they said, "No, you can't have a piercing there." And I said, "If I had a piercing here, would that be all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What happens between there and there that means I'm unemployable?" And they went, "You can't have a face tattoo. You can't work here." They were open about it, and I went, "Wow, all right."
I mean, workers' rights this day and age. You're right. You wouldn't be able to get away with saying that, would you?
Yeah, but you know the pain of being surrounded by women all the time, right?
I work with majority women as well. You know, there's a few of us at work, lads wise, and then I come home, the wife, the daughter, you know, so I am surrounded by females, the dog, who's very needy, but one thing that's we have a laugh about it, but in my head, I think it's quite a serious topic. When Isla said to me, "I've got 2 boyfriends at school," I said, "What, are they just friends that are boys or are they boyfriends?" No. She went, "Well, I've got one boy and I did give him a cuddle." I was like, "Right, so he's your boyfriend?" And she was like, "Yes." I said, "What did I tell you? When you started school, you're not allowed to have a boyfriend till you're 21.
Isabel's is 26. She's not allowed out the house without me. She's not allowed to cross a road without me. She's not allowed to move out. She's not allowed a boyfriend until she's 26. She knows this. I know this. It's fine. It's an agreement. That's what's happening.
How old's your eldest daughter?
16, nearly 17, unbelievably.
Does she have a boyfriend?
Yes. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare.
How old is he?
17 or... Don't you fucking dare, because I know what you're doing.
No, I'm just saying. On one
What
hand,
are you saying?
saying?
What are you saying?
Oh.
You have known my daughter since she was born.
Yes.
What are you saying?
And she's a lovely human being.
Yes.
But where's the rules? Because we're putting the rules down for our younger children. So the 16-year-old doesn't apply?
You piece of shit. I know where you're going with this. She's been with him for several months, and he's the devil. I've not met him, in fairness. He might be a lovely lad. I'm just not equipped to deal with this.
Have you said to him, to her, "I hope he's wrapping his tool"?
You piece of shit. This is not in my thought. I can't cope with this. It feels like 20 minutes ago I was giving her shoulder rides, and I'm not equipped to deal with an adult daughter. And
I think that is the scary bit, is I can't believe Isla's 6.5.
Already. Baby Isla.
You know, literally I've blinked and I'm like, I've got nearly a 7-year-old. It's crazy. And your daughter's nearly 17. she's going to be going to uni, you know, she's going to be living her life as an adult. And that, to me, it's scary, isn't it? You know, and probably marrying him next year.
No. What's going on? No. But that's the thing, isn't it? Is, you know what happens? That go to uni, nights out. You just hope they stay safe, get home safely, all of those bits, because you can't be there for that. And you hope you've educated them enough to know not to take those risks.
It's streetwise enough, absolutely.
But ultimately, you've got to let go a little bit. And I've not read the manual on that yet. And I know there's loads of books you can buy, but I don't know if I'm ready.
And do you know what? There is parenting books, and I'm all for that. I always remember something really that stands out in my life that someone said to me. They said, "Have you had 3 drinks today?" I says, "What?" As a parent, you are much better having 3 drinks inside you. 3-drink parenting is the way forward. You're more placid. Oh, actually, was it you?
That sounds like a very wise man.
It was you, wasn't it? And that's always stuck in my head. You know, 3-drink parenting is, I think, the way forward. The way forward. You are more placid. You're more likely to, you know, they turn around and say, "Would you take me to McDonald's?" Of course, we'll walk because I've had 3 drinks.
I think a lot of your children's happiest memories will be when you're 3-drink parenting. You threw me up and caught me. We went out for this. We had a wrestle. You gave me a donkey ride. I'm not even
silly slide.
I'm not getting off the sofa unless I've had a couple of drinks. So, will you give us a donkey ride through here? Why were you more fun yesterday? Daddy was drunk.
It's true.
3-drink parenting is a genuine thing.
And your children will appreciate that when they are parents. They'll be like, "Do you know what? That was always more fun after having a couple of drinks."
They get to an age where they realise.
No, Isla says, "Are you having a vodka and lemonade?" And I'm like, "Oh, no. That's bad, but it's not vodka, it's rum." So you're wrong. You are wrong. But, yeah. So people out there, 3 drinks as a parent.
3-drink parenting.
It's honestly way forward. You will thank us both for that bit of advice.
So I want to talk to you about travel, actually. So we both love travel. We love seeing the world. I have started to really fall out of love with air travel, flying recently. So me and Amy recently went to Budapest, a couple of nights.
It's a long flight, isn't it, though? It's like 3... Is it? Oh, I thought it was like 3.5 hours.
It's only 2 hours to Budapest. But the thing about air travel is I can't afford anything but economy, right? So they absolutely fuck you with the prices. So economy is just poor class, isn't it?
Vodka and Coke, a tenner. You're like, oh.
But the actual seats themselves
are so uncomfortable, aren't they?
But I can't afford to go business class. No. So business class was meant to be the middle ground between economy and first class. Mm-hmm. But when we went to New York, the flights were £300, £350 each return. Right. We asked how much to upgrade, not buy, but upgrade to business class, and it would have been an extra 19 grand. You can't do that. That's not an option.
For 8 hours on a plane?
It's
what? Yes. That is ridiculous.
When would I ever be in a situation where I'd go, should we just add 20 grand to our holiday? No, I can't ever imagine that. So I will sit in poor person class moaning. But the issue is, at some point in the flight, I'm going to feel sick. At some point, I'm going to think the plane's going to flip over and we're going to die. At some point, it's going to get delayed or I've never been on a flight that's taken off on time. I'm too fat. I can't fit in the seats. My legs are quite long. If I put them in front of me, I can't get them in the seat in front of me. So one leg's got to be in the aisle. Yeah. Air stewardess smashes the trolley into my knee. I can't sleep even if it's overnight.
Yeah.
If I manage to get any sleep, either air stewardess smashes into my knee and wakes me up and goes, sorry, or
the wife's waking you up because you're snoring.
The aircon is so aggressive it dries out your throat, and I do a monster snore, and it sounds like Daddy Pig. Right?
Yeah.
And then and then everyone looks at you, and you're like, right, I can't sleep again. And eventually I'll get my knees in behind the seat in front of me, and then the one in front of me puts their seat back. No. That now it's crushing. Do you put your seat back?
No.
I never put my seat back. I've done it once when I was on the back row next to the wall, so there was no one there. Yeah. But I will never put my seat back.
So as you know, we've just come back from Egypt, and the flight time's like 5.5 hours. It's a long flight. And bear in mind, it's called mid-haul. It's classified as mid-haul.
Yeah.
So you get nothing. Not even the pop-down screen that tells you where you are over the, we're going down the bloody west coast of France. Nothing. No entertainment, nothing.
Yeah.
The seats are designed for an hour, 2 hours tops to be sat in.
Yeah.
My back's killing me. My arse is killing me because there's no padding. I'm not a big guy, and I can't imagine. Yeah. I mean, my knees were touching the seat in front. Then the person in front puts it back. The air steward goes, can you just pull your seat forward because we haven't taken off yet? Pushes it forward. As soon as she walks back, as soon as she fucks off, back it goes. I'm like, literally no room whatsoever.
The other thing is it's so loud. And you don't really notice that because it's all background noise. Yeah. But if you're watching something on your phone, you can't. One earphone in isn't enough. Yeah. You've got to have two, haven't you? And then when I get back, even after the plane's landed, for an hour, I can't hear properly. I know I'm getting old, but I'm 41, so I'm not even old yet. But already, so when I was like 35 or something, we did that round the world trip. Ooh. We flew from the UK to Singapore, stayed there. Then we flew to Perth in Western Oz, stayed there. Then we flew to Sydney and stayed there. Then we went all the way around the world to California, stayed there, and then flew all the way home. At 35, I was fine. Honestly, I was absolutely fine with all that air travel, enjoyed it all, best time of my life. We were away for just over a month. Loved it. Loved every bit of it. Now, I was on 2 hours to Budapest, and I was like, I'm never flying again. I'm never flying again. Yeah. And my concern is, you and I both love travel. Yeah. I want to go to New Zealand at some point in my life.
I'd love to.
That means we're thinking of doing that next summer, right? Which means we're going to have to stop several times on the way. I've got to do it soon because I reckon by the time I'm 50, long haul will be out. I'll be like, I can't do it. Unless I'm paying for aisle seats or business class or something. Even in this sort of 5 or 6 years since I did it last time, it's too much. It's a big deal now, actually.
But I have done business class.
Have you?
So
You didn't pay for that.
No.
You are one of the tightest bastards I have ever known in my life, except maybe my brother. Right.
Yeah, well, I'm probably on par. I am probably on par with your brother.
Bastard, so there's no way you paid for business class.
So we were in Cuba, coming home, got to the airport, handed our boarding cards in, and they went, "You're not booked on the aircraft." We were like, "Oh, fuck, oh dear." Just want to be home anyway, and I've got a 13 bloody hour flight to go, and this is not helping my anxiety because I hate airports anyway. So they went, "Oh well, there's no economy seats left, so we'll have to upgrade you to business class." And we were like, "Fine." So everyone got excited. It was only me and my ex that were allowed to go on.
Out of a group of what size?
6.
So the other 4 had to stay in 4-person class.
So in all fairness, we walked because you get the exec lounge. They weren't allowed in it, and we get priority boarding. They weren't priority boarding.
The thing is, you're such a tosser that you wouldn't even feel guilty.
Oh, I was knocking on the window because I could see them walking down the runway, knocking on the window, showing my flipping, glass of champagne. I didn't care, mate. Do you know what I mean?
You are such a bastard. You're the worst friend in the world. You really are.
That's what we would do. Me and you would be those bellends that would actually go, "Oh, it's thirsty work sat here, isn't it?" And they're getting on the aircraft, like squeezing down the tight aisles. And I've got this massive armchair that literally reclines. My feet are off the ground. There's no, the
Your feet
gap.
are always off the ground.
They are indeed. But, as soon as I literally planted my butt in the seat, they went, "Would you like a glass of champagne, sir?" I was like, ooh, yes. And your menu will be coming around in a minute, so you can choose your 3 starters, your 3 mains, and your 3 puddings. So I was like, ooh. You know, I was texting them. Yeah, I was like, this is what we've got. And they're just like, not responding. I was like, rude.
I'd be furious.
Oh, no,
I'd be so angry at you.
It was so funny. Because it never usually happens to me.
No, that's the thing. But would you ever pay to upgrade?
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But on long haul, the seats are you get slightly more room.
Yep.
They're a bit more comfier. You get your entertainment in the back of the headrest. What are you getting different in business class? Drink whenever you want, fine, but you still get drink on long haul.
You get more space, though.
You get more space, you do. You get a choice of menu. I don't think that warrants 18 grand return.
18 grand is ridiculous as an upgrade. No, it was a
For
total
both
extra of 19 grand or something. For 2,
10
6
grand
and a
each,
half.
though. Come on.
But the whole thing, because we travel cheaply, so we'll never book a package. We'll book flights separately and then book a hotel separately and just figure it out when we get there. That's what we do. We'll get a train from the airport to the city or whatever. We travel really cheaply. We often don't even book in a luggage bag. We'll just take a backpack on each for like 5-6 nights a week. We'll just take a backpack each. It's fine. So we travel really cheaply. So the idea of adding 20 grand onto your holiday that's only costing you 1,200 quid in total is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's really interesting, to be fair. It is really interesting because I remember my sister. Jo was pregnant, heavily pregnant at this point, and my sister had to go to China for business, and she went business class.
Wow.
Yeah, so the company paid for business class, and it was obscene, and I mean obscene.
Yeah.
And I said to her, would you pay for it? And she was like, no, because it's so much money. I could have 5-6 holidays out of what?
Exactly.
Just the actual travel is going to cost.
But you know when you're flying back from Australia?
I bet you want that. Oh, a bed, eye mask, and blanket. Thank you very much. I love that. Honestly.
On the way there, you're kind of okay because you've still got the holiday to look forward to. On the way back, you're like, I'm literally at work in 26 hours and I've got 18 hours of travel.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Whilst we're talking about travel, I want to talk to you because last year I went to Orlando, went to Disneyland with Amy and Isabel.
Was that last year? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was 18 months ago. We went there. Yeah. And I hated it. I absolutely hated the whole Disney experience. So I've got a friend in Orlando who I haven't seen in a lot of years. So I met up with him twice. That was amazing. That was really good. But the whole Disneyland thing was just awful. A few years before that, we went to Disneyland Paris. Hated it. That was really poorly set up, though, in Paris, in fairness. There was not enough people there. There were queues all over the place. There was no shade. It was like 30, 32 degrees. You just stood in a queue, snaking around under the sun.
Sweating your nuts off, yeah.
But then you said, Orlando will be different. It's amazing. All the Disney things, all the Universal things, even in the queues, they make it interesting and stuff. And you lied. It was shit. It was absolutely shit. You're a liar because what actually happened was we stood in queues forever and it was shit.
I think the thing is, if you like everything that I like, the world's going to be a very boring thing. I love Orlando. I've been 5 or 6 times now. And in all fairness, if we don't go with you to New Zealand next year, that's probably where Jo and I and little one will go.
Would you really go?
No, I love it. It's probably one of my favourite places in the world.
But you spend more time queuing than anything else. It's awful.
See, we did fast track, so we literally didn't queue for anything. We'd go on by ourselves because I don't need to go on with Jo to experience the ride. You know, I'd go on by myself and be sat next to a big fat American. I don't care. I mean, I will tell you a story. So we were queuing. Me, my dad, and the wife were queuing to go on Harry Potter ride in Universal. Fucking brilliant ride. It's like you sit in like a long kind of like pew. That makes sense. Right. And you kind of go round the track. And
I went on the Hagrid ride when I was there last year.
That was there when we were there.
That was good, but we queued for nearly 2 hours.
Oh no! So we queued for maybe 5 minutes to get onto the Harry Potter ride. I mean, it was lengthy, and this couple, not saying where they were from, had queued for 2 hours.
I mean, you've literally just said they were fat Americans. All
right, but queued for 2 hours, and they got to the front, and the guy went, "You're too fat. You can't go on it."
Oh!
Honestly, me and the wife were literally killing ourselves.
How fat was he, though?
I mean, he'd need 2 seats.
Would they have turned me down?
No. I'm talking shelf. You know, like the arse cheeks were proper. Seats. Oh, yeah. I'm talking like each butt cheek would need a seat.
In fairness, they should have told him at the beginning of the queue.
I know. I felt really bad for them. No, I did.
Come on.
That they queued for 2 hours. But there was a fucking sign at the beginning saying, if you are larger than this, because there are a few Americans that are larger, don't go on the ride. So you've gone, I'll ignore that.
In fairness, that's got to happen. So you know on Towers they've got the Oblivion one that goes to the end and stops on a vertical drop. One of the taxi drivers in Orlando was telling us about this...
Shikra at Busch Gardens.
Is it? We didn't go to Busch Gardens, but there's one with a vertical drop. Yeah. But they were saying there was this like 13-year-old who was like 6'1", 400 pounds or something, went on it, and the maximum limit was 250 or something, lied, and it got to that point, and the seat brace buckle thing just burst open, and he fell and died, right? And in fairness, these rides aren't tested for uber super weights, are they? There is a limit, and that's got to be enforced. But tell someone before they queue for 2 hours.
Well, this is why I really did feel for them, because they were just like, we just queued for 2 hours, and you're now telling me we can't get on.
You could have been for a 7-course
meal.
But
that time. It wasn't like the wife could go on, because I'm not being funny, she was equally as big.
In fairness, you'd expect that. When have you ever seen a 500-pound man with a 70-pound woman or something?
I mean, they're on TikTok. There's a few couples out there.
The man has to be rich.
Well, usually, don't they?
I will say this, though. Yeah. So, I got married this year. Amy, she looked... You were literally there. Oh. Got married this year. Amy looks smoking, right? Absolutely smoking.
I'm not saying a word.
She did.
No, in all fairness, Mrs. did look hot. She did look really... Yeah, she did. Yeah.
So...
I mean, you could have done with trimming down a little bit. I mean, I was a little
bit really should have made an effort. You are right. But when we go out, I will admit...
I mean, your hair was looking on point as well. I was the photographer, because you were too tight to pay for one.
That's true. That's actually true. I didn't want to pay for a photographer, so I asked you to come along.
So...
you did okay.
I did all right. You've got some great pictures.
What I will say is when me and Amy are on a night out, though, I offer different things in the relationship, okay? So let's not start with that, okay? But some may say I'm punching. They would be very rude.
Some may
say
I'm punching. Viewers, he's definitely punching.
Definitely punching.
He is.
Okay. Definitely punching. Okay. So when we go out, I give off I'm rich and she's a bit of a whore vibes.
And it's completely the opposite, because she earns more than you.
She earns more and I'm a whore.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, you are right, actually. Yeah. So we give off that. So, but go back, the only time that a huge man or old man would be with a really is there's money or a big D, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Baby arm, something like that.
Baby arm, yeah.
You look back into like the 1920s, stuff like that. People were tiny. they were tiny. And
Yeah.
you fast forward 100 years and people are monsters. They're taller. Do you know, I've got mates that have got kids that are like almost a foot taller.
So I walk past. So I've always been a tall guy. I'm 6'3", 6'4". If I walk past like a sixth form college, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, I don't even feel tall anymore.
No.
Honestly, they're enormous. My 15-year-old nephew is my height. Yeah. That's just what it is.
But you know, back in 1920s, there was no one over like 5'5", 5'6".
So if I ever go to watch something in the theatre, not a cinema, but in the theatre, like if you go to London, to something like Her Majesty's Theatre that was built so long ago, it was built for small people.
Oh,
so now it's worse than the plane. You're like this.
Yeah.
It's like,
we went to see The Lion King. Joe took me for my 40th to see The Lion King, and we had fantastic seats. We really did. But my days, there was no room.
I was disappointed by The Lion King. The opening scene was immense. It was emotional. I was like,
I would be with you on that
absolutely.
Yeah.
The rest was just
We got to half time, and Joe and I looked at each other.
half time.
We've still got another fucking hour to go here. I was a little bit pissed. So, Joe and I, like you and Amy, like a few drinks. So we went to Tesco and we got those little, you know, gin and tonic in a can. Tried to smuggle them in.
Yeah.
They looked in our bag, was like, no. You have to put them in the bin. So me and Joe were like, fuck that, we're drinking them. So I drank 4 cans. Joe drank 4 cans. Within 10 minutes, I was busting for a piss, mate. Do you know, like really, really busting. So I was like, oh, I need to go for a pee. But it was the best part of the show. Do you know what I mean? No. Well, probably, yeah. But the beginning bit was the best bit.
It is.
And the second half was absolute dog shite. I'm sorry. I'll never go back to see The Lion King.
No.
And I said this to Joe. I was like, thank you very much, but we won't do that again. I'd like to do Les Mis. I'd like to do Phantom. Brilliant.
They're both brilliant.
They are fantastic. And we will do that. But I'm like, why can't you take your own drinking? Oh, it's because you need to buy it from our bar. What? One Prosecco was 15 quid. I was like, fuck off. You know, it's like a quarter of a bottle of Prosecco you're charging 15 quid that you've paid 7 quid for.
The best smuggling in I ever did was me and Amy had both read a book called Birdsong, which is about the First World War. It's about the tunnelling of trenches, you know, trench warfare in the First World War. It's about the tunnelling under to try and get to the German side, and they were tunnelling, and it was really suspenseful because you had to sort of listen and see if they were tunnelling the other way, and at any point it could cave in. It's such an amazing book. And there was a show that they were playing in Birmingham of Birdsong, and we were like, right, we'll go and watch this. And it was so disappointing because the main actor was really wooden and terrible, and I was like, this is really bad. So at the interval at the halfway point, I went out to the local chip shop and bought 2 battered sausages covered in vinegar that were absolutely stinking of vinegar and, you know, all the steam that comes off. Yeah, they're amazing.
They are.
So she went, where are you going? You're going to get some Maltesers or something? I went, yeah. Went to the chip shop, 2 massive battered sausages, back pocket. They don't check you when you come back in after half time. You need to know that. Came back in and she was like, what have you got us? I was like, biting. And she was like, that is the most legendary food find ever.
Indeed, mate. Bravo.
Exactly.
Bravo.
We're both just sat there eating these stinking, steaming, battered sausages, better than any pouch of Revels or Maltesers. And we remember that more than we remember the terrible show we went to. So today's been about learning a bit about us. It's our first go at this. Hope people have enjoyed it. Thanks for listening to Two Bald Guys.